All right, this is Lance, and I'm going to just do a quick tour of the new self-employment bookkeeping spreadsheet. I created it in Microsoft Excel, and so you can use it in Excel, but a lot of people will probably elect to upload it to Google Docs or Google Drive and use it as a Google Sheet. And so the little tour I'm going to give you here will be based on using it within the Google Drive as a Google Sheet. So this, I made quite a few changes. This year is pretty different than the previous years. I made a lot of little tiny changes over the years, and this year I did a big series of changes. So it's going to look different than what you're used to, maybe. Um, but overall, the basic functionality is the same. You know, the individual months, still look pretty similar. But there are some things here that are different because you can see, for instance, that there's this code type and code. There was always a code, I think, but this one will actually end up showing you what the codes mean. And then the other thing is on the totals page. The totals page really looks totally different. And the reason for that is I've set it up so that once you enter codes in on the individual months, they will automatically tally up here so that you can see if you make a taxable sale or if you have an expense around advertising. You can see on a month by month basis what you're either spending or on a month by month basis what you're bringing in. And so that you don't actually enter anything here on the totals page. The only place that you would enter anything on this totals page is here under the what your actual bank account statements say from month to month, um, as well as this information at the top, which is about your business. Down on the very bottom here are explanations of some of the things. And this is actually where the codes are being pulled from down here, so that when you enter a code, it's looking down here to see. So whatever you do, don't type or edit any of this down here because it'll mess it up. But going back up here, just to get started, the first thing that you're going to want to do is enter the name of your business. And here you can see I've got it entered as big business, and that's what it's going to say when you get the sheet from me. But I'm just going to change this real quick to Lance's Big Business, and the year is 2020. And so you can change if you reuse this sheet from year to year. You can make a copy of this sheet and save it for next year, or you can go make a copy of your end of year and go through and delete all of your codes and totals, or you can just ask me for a clean copy and I'll send it to you. And the starting bank balance, I'm going to say that the starting bank balance in my imaginary big business is going to be $10,000. And you can see automatically here, it starts in January with $10,000 as the bank balance. But you can see, because I haven't entered anything over here, that on my bank statement, the bank actual, I'm going to just enter $10,000 here. And that makes the variance nothing. So now going down, actually, let's go to January now. So already you can see that because I entered the name of my business, Lance's Big Business, and already just by, let's call it ArtWorking Big Business. ArtWorking's Big Business. Already you can see that it's going to be carried over onto each of the sheets. Both the year and the name of the business are going to be on each of the pages. And so when you go to February, you'll see it's there. March, it's there. April. Probably I will go back, and before I email this to you, I'll add the months in for each of the 12 months. So that if you were to print a month, you would automatically see the name of the business, the year, and probably here I'll put the month. Um, so then as you enter, I'm going to go ahead and start by saying the first thing I did this month in the beginning of January is I'm going to say I made a sale. So I'm entering one for a sale, which is a taxable sale. And you can see the code here on the front, that the code for taxable sales is number 1. You can see it right there. Or you can see it down here at the bottom, taxable sales. If you leave it empty, then it's going to enter this, which just says enter code to the left. And that reminds you that you need to enter the code right here. So taxable sale. And I'm going to say that I made this sale on January 15th. I'm just going to leave it like that because it's going to automatically do that anyway. And the sale, I'm going to say that I sold some stuff to Laura F. And I'm going to say that I sold great paintings. And for that, she paid ArtWorking $300. And so if I go down here to the totals page already, I'm going to see here in line 1, or I'm going to see here under category 1 in January, there's $300 of taxable sales already. And because it was taxable sales, I'm going to owe sales tax on that. And so, in this case, if I charged sales tax on top, I wouldn't have probably recorded it like this. I would have recorded it slightly differently. But and by that, I just mean if the sale price was $300 and it was taxable, and I charged sales tax, then I would need to enter the actual amount, including the sales tax there, so that I can calculate it out on the back end. So there it is, income of $300 for January, and that income type is taxable sales. So we're just going to do this because this is interesting. Say that I sell some product to a retail store, and they are actually charging the sales tax and paying it on their side and then giving me a percentage of the sale value. I'm going to enter 2, which is going to come up as tax exempt sales. And I'm going to say that I did this on January 20th. And I'm going to say that I did it to communication, which is on Milwaukee Street. And we often do sell things through communication. And we're going to say artists products is the description. And because communication takes a percentage of the sales and also pays the sales tax, we're essentially wholesaling product to them. And so in this case, I'm going to say that they bought the equivalent of $75 worth of product, and they marked it up by 30% or whatever. But they gave us $75, and we don't have to pay sales tax on it because they're actually collecting the sales tax and paying the sales tax on their end. And so for non-taxable, it's a tax-exempt sale now, $75. And the great part about this is at the end of the year or the end of the quarter, you can see how much you owe in sales tax on how much. It says right here, I owe $16.50 on that $300. It's not going to count the tax-exempt sales now, because they have a separate code. And we can see all of our income together, $375, but up here you can see only $300 of it. Are we going to have to pay sales and use tax at the end of the year or the end of the quarter, depending on if you pay quarterly or annually? But this is just a good one to do. But unfortunately, communication didn't want all of that. They ended up wanting a refund on something because it turned out that one of the prints that we gave them was smeared and it had big fingerprints on it, and they didn't realize it, and so they couldn't sell it. So I'm going to enter code 3, which is returns and refunds. And I'm going to say that this came back on 1/21, and again it was communication. and I'm going to say bad print. Oh, bummer. And here, though, I'm going to enter it because it's a return. It's going to stay in the income column because I'm going to use this as an adjustment to income. And so I'm going to do minus $15 for that print. Oh, too bad. But you enter it as a negative number, and that's important because basically this is changing this from 75 to 60. And so when I go back over here to my totals page, you can see I've got $15 in returns and refunds. And then up here, when you look, you can see now that my total income for the year has gone down from 375 to 360. So the last thing I'm going to do, and the reason that we do it like this is because this number 3 lines up to Schedule C, which is the self employment schedule that you attach to Form 1040 on the taxes. And as much as possible this year, I redid the numbers to make them better line up to what the income and expenses. It's not exact, like, you know, tax exempt sales isn't really a line on Schedule C, but numbers 1 and 3 and 6 and 7 and 8, most of these other numbers actually line up number for number with Schedule C. So if you're doing your own taxes, and if you can kind of follow this pretty close, when it's time to actually plug in numbers on Schedule C, most of the time you should be able to just kind of look under a column here and see what the number is here at the top. So for the totals, you know, for instance, advertising on line 8 on Schedule C, you know, whatever number shows up here, you ought to be able to just carry it over. So with that, let's go ahead and do an expense here in January. And let's go ahead and do advertising. So I entered the code 8 here, which you can see is the code 8 here for advertising. And I'm going to say that we spent, we're going to say that in January 24th, and I'm going to say to Facebook, we're going to do promotion for communication show. And I'm going to pretend like we had a show at communication that we wanted to buy some advertising on Facebook for, which we sometimes do with bigger events like our, we certainly do it with the pop-up shop every fall. And I'm going to say that here we're going to spend, we decided to go ahead and spend $50, which is kind of a common amount on for a Facebook promotion. And going back over here, you can see now in January we have $50, and for the year we have $50 that we've spent on advertising. So there was one more thing I want to do. And so we've brought in $360 so far. We've spent $50. You can see that our balance for the month here, we've got $50 in expenses for the year. We've got $360 in income for the year. We have a balance of $310, which means between these two numbers, for January we have a total income, net income of $310. So I'm going to take an owner's draw because, I've worked hard and gosh darn it, I think I deserve some money. And this would be probably actually embezzling because I'm taking ArtWorking's money here in this example. That's a joke. I'm not really doing that. But if this was your business and you could pay yourself an owner's draw, ArtWorking doesn't have this category because we're a nonprofit. And so I'm going to go ahead and write owner's draw here. Oops, and I forgot to put in the number. So I go back here and say, what's the owner's draw category number? I'm going to scroll down here at the bottom and say, oh yeah, 50, owner's draw. So back to January, I'm going to say 50. And that'll say owner's draw. And so over here, how much should I pay myself? Well, I've brought in about $310 for the year so far for the month of January. And if there isn't something set up already, a lot of times we'll suggest to business owners that they don't take either more than 20% of either the gross or the net. And everybody's a little bit different. In this case, I'm only going to take 20% of the net And since I've brought in $300, 20% of $310 would be $61 basically. So I'm going to take out an owner's draw of $61. And so when we go back here, we can see, and I'm going to write myself a check and go to the bank and cash it. And I'm going to write owner's draw in the subject line on the check, the memo. I'm also going to write owner's draw on the receipt and put it in my 13 pocket binder. And then here you see, for January, I took out $61 in owner's draws. And for the year, I've taken out $61 in owner's draws. So that's a nice little way to kind of see how that's going to come up. And then here in the bank balance, though, now, you know, there's the carryover, there's the cash balance. Oops, I need to edit that one. This should actually show the subtraction of the owner's draw here, and so I will modify that to be reflected before I send the sheet out to you, because this should actually show $61 less here than what it's showing. And then when I get my bank statement at the end of the month, hopefully it will say 1031, and so I'm going to go ahead and just write a quick formula equals that's minus 61. 10,249 is what it should say. Let's leave that out of there. Bank, and I'm going to say my bank statement actually says 10,249. So now you can see that there's a difference between what my bank statement says and what my spreadsheet says by $61. So once I fix this formula and send it to you, it'll actually say 0 here. But this will tell you if your spreadsheet looks different than what your bank statement does, you know, by doing all your math here and then entering the numbers from your month-to-month bank statements, you can see if did a check not clear, or did you forget to enter a code someplace in one of the months, or do you have a number wrong, or, you know, it gives you the opportunity to be like, okay, where did that $61 come from, you know, or whatever the number is that it shows here. You can kind of try to figure out, you know, why is there a difference between your bank statement and what you've written on here. So. All right, that is it for now. You know, email me if you've got any questions, lance@artworking.org. And I hope that this is useful. Thanks.